The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What up, everybody? It's the week of August 27th, 2018. This is the series premiere of Might Be Sports, exclusively on the MBN Network.com. Go there, check us out. I'm Taylor Cooper. With me, as always, Kevin Reevy. What up, Kevin Reevy?
What's going on?
Series premiere. Again, go to MBNNetwork.com. You can stream the show from there. You can go check out the lineup, check out all the great shows that are on the network. It's all new for us, but it's so far so good. It's great. So also check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes. It's all there. So Might Be Sports. Kevin Reevy, Taylor Cooper. What up? I'm happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well. First day. I hope you guys like it.
Yeah.
We're just getting started, so who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's the end of the summer, so that means a couple things. That means postseason baseball is coming, but more importantly, to me personally, the beginning of football is right around the corner. It's literally, 11 days away or something like that from where we are right now recording. Big football fan. I know you are too. But just real quick, for those of you who don't know us, we are right outside of Philly. So a lot of this show, we're probably going to talk a lot about some Philly sports, which, whatever, fuck you. But we're going to try and fit in some national shit in there too, obviously, standings. Kevin, are you into fantasy football?
I am. I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
You never hear people say that. Everyone says, literally everyone I know won their league last year.
Mm-hmm. There's no way they can prove it to you.
Mm-hmm. So I proudly exclaim that I'm terrible at fantasy football.
I've won twice out of the 6 or 7 years I've done it, but there's been years where it was just terrible.
I should have pulled up my team. I'll try to figure out a way to pull it up maybe after the break. It's embarrassing what I drafted last year. Really embarrassing. I had LaShawn McCoy. You know what? My 4th overall pick was Mike Gillislee.
I don't even know who that is.
A lot of people don't know who he is. He's technically still in the league, but I thought he was going to be one of those Patriots
sleepers.
Come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
He averaged 5 yards a carry the year before with the Bills on 500 yards. So it wasn't a big sample size, but I thought he might have been one of these guys the Patriots pluck out of nowhere. But it's just, you can't draft Patriots running back.
That's like a deep sleeper draft pick right there. That's a deep sleeper draft.
It's
pick.
Being so smart you're dumb.
Yeah.
That's me as
a
draft.
You're trying to when you're drafting teams, and again, I want to bring fantasy into this show a little bit just because that's a huge deal, right? I mean, everybody's into it. Now they're doing they got the DraftKings shit for money, and it's fucking everywhere. But I've drafted some pretty terrible teams in the past as well, but I'm still waiting to draft my team this year. Time's coming to a close. I got to get it done, but we'll see what happens. But so again, we're going to talk some Philly stuff, definitely some national stuff here and there. But we also want to get some guests on here, talk some sports with us. Got a lot of interesting people that between the two of us that we know. But again, if people haven't heard of us before, I'm on a show called Might Be News. I produce all the shows on the MBN network. And on Might Be News, Kevin Reevy has been a guest a couple times, right? We've talked some sports. Big deal leading into the Super Bowl last year and everything like that. But for the listeners that are tuning in now that don't know much about you, Kevin, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I guess my claim to fame is, speaking of Philadelphia, I was the author of This Day in Philadelphia Sports, which is a fun, calendar-style book. It gives you a few facts for each, day in the calendar, what happened this day in Philadelphia sports history. That was my first book, came out in 2012, somewhere around there, maybe 2013. And then Incredible Baseball Stats. The first book was with Brian Startari. Got to give him a shout-out. He'll probably be on the show at some point. Big Flyers guy.
Great.
He's done some local sports radio forever. He was actually on that show, ESPN Dream Job. He got screwed, but I digress. Then incredible baseball stats I wrote with Ryan Spader. You might know him as at the Ace of Spader on Twitter. Just the most incredible baseball stat mind you'll ever meet. He's the Rain Man of baseball stats. It's weird how into baseball he is. But
it takes like a specific kind of person, like a very special kind of person, to really take baseball stats and like digest it like that. Because people like me see ERAs. I don't know what a good ERA is. I look at like Aaron Nola's ERA and I assume it's good because he's doing great. But like I don't know what any of this shit means. And there's people that know everything about ERA and all this shit. It's just so nuts to me.
Yeah, it's not even ERA now. It's WHIP. It's ERA plus. It's WARs.
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts.
There's so much that
as
goes
soon as
into
people
it,
started
ridiculous.
to get it, they like expanded it and changed it to like the metric system.
And you kind of have to be like a mathematician style guy.
Oh, it's nuts.
That's who Ryan is, and he's by no means is he a nerd. I mean, a nerd in baseball stat terms, but you kind of do have to be a little nerdy to be into it. And I just love baseball. I love telling stories, and he's got this incredible mind for stats. So we came together with that book, and it did really well. We're coming out with a new version, 2.0. It's going to be insane. In about 10 months, that book's coming out. So
that's
let you guys know.
Sequel to Incredible Baseball Stats.
Yes, that's coming out hardcover this time around. We're adding a bunch of stuff. The Cubs won, the Astros won, so obviously we got to clean some things up there since the first printing. So, we're expecting big things with that. I got to get to work on that soon. Summer's over for the kids, but also for me.
Yeah,
I got to get to work, which kind of stinks, but it's fun when it's done. I mean, it's not a whole lot of fun to get into the grind, feeling the deadline coming, but when it's done, you're like, oh, cool, look at what I made. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're here now. Is just you write books now, you do podcasts, but it was just just something that I can do. This is something I'm good at. I can do it. Why not? And if I have one show, why not have 4 shows?
And this is fun.
Yeah,
talking sports.
Oh my god. It's something that everybody, well, not everybody, but most people like to talk about is sports, and we're gonna have some great interviews. We're gonna have some great guests. I know a lot of opinionated people. Sports is one thing that you can just be as opinionated as you want. You can be a total homer if you want. You can root, and fantasy kind of allows people to root for people outside of the box a little bit. So I think that's an interesting thing to talk about as well. But I'm from all over the East Coast. So I've dealt with a lot of different fans. I spent a lot of my childhood in Virginia. I was never a Redskins fan. But when I was young, I was really into the Dolphins because of Dan Marino. I just thought he was the shit. And I just wanted to see him win a Super Bowl because he didn't win one. And then I moved on to Peyton. Peyton Manning's my guy. You and I have talked at length about the Brady-Peyton Manning comparisons.
Nothing wrong with being the second best quarterback of all time.
Dude, he's the GOAT. He's, in my opinion, and we'll get to that later. But and then when I moved outside of Philly, I thought it was the coolest thing ever because Virginia, you don't have a pro team in Virginia. You don't. Like, I had to drive forever to go see a Redskins game if we wanted to or whatever. But I just thought it was the coolest thing ever to have a fucking pro football team, pro baseball team, pro everything here. And I've been 4 for 4 pretty much ever since. Like, holy shit. And I don't know, my top 3 favorite sports for the listeners to know what they're going to hear from me is NFL, definitely number 1. NBA, definitely number 2. And baseball and hockey kind of, it's tough. I'd have to go baseball over hockey, but that's pretty much where I'm at. What about you, Kev?
Yeah, if I had to rank mine, I would say it's probably a tie with baseball and football. I guess it's maybe a cop-out to say that, but I'm more involved with the baseball stuff, just with writing and all that kind of. Right. There's nothing I enjoy more than football on Sunday. Not a college guy, really. I like college basketball, not really a college football guy. But
no? Really?
No, you know what? I just don't like minor league football,
Okay.
and that's what college football is. I only have so much room for these sports, and you can't get into college football. You have to be born into it, I think, because good luck getting into it when there's, I don't know how many teams and the roster turns over every year. Entirely every 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It's too much. Basketball, because I kind of grew up with it in the Philadelphia area, college basketball is a big deal. So I was more susceptible to being into that. But, baseball was my first love, so that's there. Love football, love basketball. I guess, where am I at? Fourth place, Survivor on CBS. It's a sport. I mean, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say
the best.
If poker is a sport, Survivor is a sport.
And you got to follow. If we can,
American Ninja Warrior is a sport.
We got to get this guy on the show. It's Scott Pollard, formerly of the Indiana Pacers, Sacramento Kings. He was on a season of Survivor. Follow him on Twitter, by the way. He's hilarious. I don't remember what his Twitter handle is, but just search Scott Pollard. He's great. We got to have him on. So Survivor comes in at 4, and I guess college basketball 5. Hockey, I used to be so into it. My stepdad was into it. I watched it every day. I was in the Lindros, LeClaire, Desjardins, Mark Recchi, all those guys. And a little bit after that, Simone Gagne, Roman Cechmanek. But after, once I really got into college, right around, 2002 and beyond, didn't have the time.
Right.
I think drinking took the place of hockey. So that's where I'm at. But I tried, for the first book, Brian Startari, huge hockey mind.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's brilliant with all sports, but he loves his hockey. He's great at it. He did the pre- and post-game show at WIP for a few years. That was a great match, me and him, because he could fill in with the hockey stuff that I would really have no idea.
Right.
I would have missed a ton of hockey stuff if I tried to write that book on my own. I would have no chance, and people would be like, "Yo, what the fuck? How do you not have this team? How do you not have this fact?" So,
when you can link up with somebody like that, it's always great, especially for a creative outlet as well. Because if you don't know something, it's always great to have somebody there to back you up on it. Because I feel the same way when I'm talking sports with people. Because like with the baseball shit, like I said, I don't know what the fuck that it means. I just know I look at wins and losses. It's really that simple. And that's for all sports. I mean, all that shit. But that's cool. That's cool that you guys met up and did that.
Yeah, I mean, me and Ryan Spader, we talk about it all the time. Like when we wrote our book, it was, here's what I can do, here's what you can do, and neither one of us can do the other thing. So it worked out perfectly. If you have two guys that are the best at the same thing, it doesn't always work out. Right. So we could kind of fill in the blanks. He's actually in the Marines right now. When we started the book, he was in basic training. And when I'm saying off the map, you can't text the guy, email, phone call, he can't talk to his family, anyone. He gave me an Excel spreadsheet with 60,000 tweets, and I'm just searching keywords.
Wow.
And it would come to the point where I'd be like, shit, I need more, but the stat mind is gone. Yeah. So what do I do?
Yeah.
So I had to kind of learn his process, but forget it. It's like trying to learn complex trigonometry over the weekend. It just can't be done. But when he came back, we put our two heads together. It worked out. But yeah, it's with anything. That's all I try to do whenever I get into anything. This is the perfect example. I'm not great at talking into a microphone. You're fantastic at it. So this could be a good marriage. We'll see how it goes.
Well, absolutely. And I think that you have a lot to, we have a lot to gain from each other in this. You know what I mean? And even though you're inexperienced talking on the microphone, you've been on the show with me on Might Be News a couple of times, and each time it seemed like you were more comfortable doing it. And I have Relatable Radio, the girls, they've never done this shit. And it was kind of, walking them through it. And it's a whole process. It's just practice makes perfect and all that shit. I want to learn from you because I watch sports. I don't analyze sports. You know what I mean? I watch it, like you said a few minutes ago. There's There's nothing better to me than football on Sunday. It's like this thing. When football season starts, everything else stops for me. I tell Jackie all the time, you have, just like the Eagles, you have a bye week. You can pick the week. I don't care what it is. Ooh, that Sunday is yours. Other than that, football Sunday, that's what it is. Period. And she's into it too. She loves it too. And which makes it really easy for me. But one Sunday, here it is. There it is. Plan ahead, whatever. But we try to go to a game every year. We went to the Giants Monday night game a couple years ago, which was a blast. We went and saw the Bears game, which we wiped our asses with them last year, which was great. And it's just great. I love fucking football. It's crazy. I get into college too, but I feel you on the fact that you almost have to be born into it or certainly bred into it, like where you go to that fucking school, you follow that division because of that. You have a loyalty to a team for that. Penn State, all that shit around here. I never went to college, so I don't have any loyalties like that. But the Hawkeyes, Iowa Hawkeyes is my squad. That's where I was born. All my relatives went there. Their fucking logo's cool as shit, and they're underdogs in the Big Ten. So I fuck with them. I don't fuck with Penn State pretty much at all. I don't fuck with Ohio State pretty much at all. That's pretty much it. That's college football for me is just kind of filler on a Saturday because it's just football and fuck it. And I'll tell you one thing, I'm very excited about their like little playoff thing that they added a couple years ago. Before that,
it's such bullshit.
You don't like it? I think that they need to
game.
extend it. They need to extend it. They need 16. They don't. I fuck the top. What do they do now? 8 now? 4 now? They at least need 8.
Absolutely. I think when they came out with this, they went into a room.
Yeah.
And they're talking amongst themselves and they're saying, all right, let's start with 4 and see if they'll go for it. They make a phone call. Guy hangs up and says, you won't fucking believe this. They're cool with 4.
Yeah.
And then they just all high-fived each other and
why did they stop there? Why did they stop
4
there?
4 is nothing.
You have 35,000 bowl games every year. Why wouldn't you at least extend it to 8 teams? Why wouldn't you do that? You have a dope trophy. The trophy's dope. I mean, everything about it's dope. But if you think that I'm going to tune in to the same 4 teams every fucking year, you're fucking full of shit. If they had 8 teams, UCF would have been in there last year. A couple other teams that nobody even talks about would have been in there, and they might have won. They might have done something. I mean, just because what? Nick Saban doesn't play UCF? He doesn't want them in there? Fuck that. If you're the best, you got to play the best.
And it's a weak argument. They always say, oh, well, we make it 8. People are going to want it to be 16. Make it 16. They want it 32. Whatever. They did the minimum. They literally did the minimum.
The minimum.
There's no way to make it smaller. 4 was the absolute minimum. Yeah, if you have 4, people are going to want 8. If you have 8, they're going to want 16. But the argument gets weaker the further and further out. First of all, 8 can absolutely work, and I'd be into it.
8 would fill the month. You would essentially have the college football equivalent of March Madness in whatever month it is. January.
The Super Bowl Sunday and the first day or 2 of March Madness are my favorite days of the year.
Yeah.
And it's because, I mean, it's an unbelievable spectacle. What it could be for college football would be the same. If you have 8 teams, how cool would that be? It'd be awesome. You could make a great 2-3 weeks out of it. I mean, I don't know how long of a break they take. Is it still obscene, like the break they have to the championship game?
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks. Or something
is it just 2 weeks? I thought it was even longer.
It might be. But
it's just, I don't know. I'm the fakest Notre Dame fan there ever was. It's just,
Rudy? Is that your reasoning? Rudy?
I love Rudy. That's the best.
Yo, I know so many people that's the only reason that they like Notre Dame. That's their squad, and that's the only reason.
5 foot nothing, 100 nothing, and hardly a speck of athletic ability.
No, it's just
when you're through here, you're gonna have a degree from the University of Notre Dame. I love that movie so much; it's great.
Yo, the reason people call me a bandwagon. I like Alabama. I've liked Alabama for a long time. First of all, the SEC is the best division in college football. It just is hard hard-nosed football, run through the gut, defense, fuck all that, anything. Whatever. Alabama. But I like Alabama because Forrest Gump played there.
That's true.
I do.
Legend.
I do. I like Alabama because Forrest Gump played there. It's fact. But Iowa Hawkeyes is my squad. They never really do much. They got into like the top 5 like a year or two ago, and that was pretty dope, but whatever. They beat the shit out of Penn State a couple times, and I love that. They beat the shit out of Ohio State a couple times, and I love that too.
Yeah, that's the thing that's weird. It's like right around here, the Philadelphia area, it's split down the middle of people that love Penn State and hate Penn State. Because there's no Philly football team. Like, there's no college football team in this area to root for. And Penn State's shared with pretty much the whole
area.
Yep. And I don't like sharing things with Pittsburgh.
No.
It doesn't feel right.
No. They talk weird in Pittsburgh.
Don at Sheets.
Yeah.
We're going down to Sheets.
Said
Yins. Yins going down to Sheets.
Ugh.
I started to pick it up when I went to college out there. It was very disappointing.
Oh, I would have been very disappointed in myself as well. See, I have like this hybrid accent. I have like a southern twang when I like set foot anywhere near anybody else that speaks like that. But it's retarded anyway, whatever. Let's see. So we pretty much agree on football being more or less number one. I like baseball. You know, I like baseball a lot more when the Phillies are doing great. Maybe that makes me a fair weather fan or whatever, but it's not like I don't cheer for them. It's not like I'm out here cheering for somebody else because Phillies suck. I just don't fucking watch baseball when the Phillies suck. They haven't sucked this year. I've watched more baseball this year than I did certainly last year. But I like listening to baseball on the radio. I don't mind listening to baseball as like filler if I'm just doing something.
It's a good filler sport for this summer. And, you know, I'm around baseball fanatics all the time on Twitter and everything. It's kind of, you know, part of the deal. But it does get annoying how, like, the intense baseball fans just are so protective of their sport.
Yeah.
First of all, if you're that protective, you know there's something wrong. Like, if you have to defend your sport that hard, something's wrong. And right now, there is a little something wrong in baseball.
Boring.
And the excuses are just mounting.
There's no stars in baseball anymore. There's no stars.
They need to bring back offense. I mean, you can't just say, you know, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball and then say there's nothing wrong with it now. How could those two opinions coexist? They can't.
Right.
It's all about offense.
Well, like, you think about it. So would you say by that rationale that steroid use had a lot to do with the falling off of the intrigue in baseball?
I don't know. I mean,
because realistically, those two guys specifically, I will never forget. I will never forget their home run chase against each other. I will never forget that summer. I'm not a fan of either one of those teams, but I tuned in. I tuned in to watch. I wanted to find out if Mark McGwire was going to beat Sammy Sosa and get that record. And since then, they've had a major crackdown on PEDs and things of that nature. And you're seeing a bunch of really close, low-scoring baseball games for the most part. And ratings reflect that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would have no problem if they went back to that kind of offense. I mean, really, there's only a handful of guys that were quote-unquote doing things wrong. I think Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire.
Yep.
You could make a case for Sammy Sosa was a little bit more nefarious than others. He had the corked bat thing. He was a little shady of a character, but I'm for all these guys being in the Hall of Fame. I think they took advantage of something that baseball wasn't really policing.
Right.
That's
a good point.
They were just doing what they had to do to get better. And it made the game better.
It did. It certainly made it more entertaining.
I would see how pitchers would have a gripe, but then you got guys like Roger Clemens. You get these guys that were also using PEDs. They also could have. It's a weird gray area. I'm not sure. I think overall, that doesn't contribute to the state of the game right now. I think the problem now is that, in general, I think guys, ironically, are in too good a shape. These pitchers right now are 6'6", 230 pounds. You never saw that before. And I think that's why these guys are also breaking down, the pitchers. But there's just so many lined up behind them. I could go on about this topic for days, but I think it's so interesting that I think there was a whole generation of kids where their dads said, all right, you're going to be a pitcher. You're going to be a huge, big pitcher throwing 100 miles an hour. You could lose one, and there's going to be another 6'6", 220 guy coming right up the pike. So it almost doesn't matter that these guys are hurting their arms, whatever. There's another one coming right up. And they're all good. They're all fantastic. And the hitters aren't keeping pace.
Right.
I mean, right now, Carlos Santana is batting like 210.
Right.
And he's a starting first baseman for the Phillies, but he's leading the league in walks. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
It's just weird. Yeah, I mean, you cannot spin that a 210 batting average is good.
Good, right.
It's not valuable.
Right.
But, this weird baseball spin, he sees a lot of pitches. Fuck that. It's just dumb. But all that being said, I'm like shitting all over the sport I love. I love baseball. My first love. I was a real nerd about it when I was a kid. Baseball was my thing. That's why I know a hell of a lot more about baseball history than football history, because I didn't really become a major, huge football fan until maybe I was probably 15. There was a weird time in there where the Eagles weren't all that great. I think when I became a huge sports fan was 93. I was 10. And between 93 and maybe 96, it was all more about the Phillies. And the Eagles were kind of irrelevant at that point in time.
Yeah, yeah.
Donovan McNabb came in 99?
Yeah,
so
I think so, yeah.
It was a dark age for Eagles football, but yeah, love me some football. Still love baseball, even though I think right now, the fact that we're talking football, baseball fans get crazy baseball fans get so offended.
So offended. Oh, yeah.
Because how dare you? We're going into the postseason right now.
Hockey fans are kind of the same way, too. Hockey fans are the same way, too, because, hockey's right around the corner as well. And everybody's talking football like it's coming up, really, really hype. And hockey fans are just like, well, what about the Flyers or whatever? And, my co-host Kev on Might Be News would be furious. He, we haven't talked about Flyers enough. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Baseball is the summer sport that it just gets me from point A to point B. Point A being the end of football season. Point B being the beginning of football season. Straight up. That's what baseball is to me, and pretty much always has been. I played baseball for a long time as a kid. But I never followed it more or less until I moved here and started following the Phillies, because like I said, it was my first professional baseball team that I could actually drive and go see and not drive for fucking 5 hours.
Yeah, I don't know how Miami still has a team. I mean,
it's nuts.
It doesn't even make sense to invest in a team like that.
Yeah.
Because how are they going to make something, even when they're good, they just tear it all down. So I don't see what the business model even is or how that works.
Yeah.
Why did Derek Jeter buy into that? I don't see how you can make that successful.
I don't know. He might in a couple years. Certainly he's not right now, but I don't know.
If it's never been done, how could it be done?
Yeah. Especially
especially now when it seems, before you would say, baseball, football, all these sports, they're, bulletproof. They can't be taken. But look at what we have right now. It's so flooded a space with just, what are the kids playing right now? Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite cuts into baseball. These things that you never would have even had a comprehension of a few decades ago.
Right.
There's just not enough time. So if you're Miami, if you own, the Miami Marlins, I would think you'd be a little concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know how any of this works.
No, I don't either.
I don't know how the Philly pretzel factory makes any sense. They sell these things hey, do you want 30 pretzels for $3?
Yeah.
Hey, well, here's a half off coupon. Give me $1.50. I don't get how that business model makes sense. I have this joke going with our mutual friend CJ where we'll be talking and I'll explain how a business doesn't make sense, and the solution I always come to is they must make meth in the basement. This is a front. The Philly Pretzel Factory is the world's largest
drug dealer,
underground money laundering meth operation.
You might be
allegedly. Right. See, I just covered myself there.
There you go. Legally, you're fine.
Yeah.
So, as a baseball fan, real quick before we hit break, and we'll talk more about obviously postseason baseball as it approaches with or without the Phillies. But as a baseball fan, and this might be tough, but who do you see in the series this year? Just early prediction. We'll revisit this when we get closer to it. Let's see if you were right.
I've always loved the Astros. I was a big Nolan Ryan, Biggio, Bagwell fan growing up. I think they got a lot of. Obviously, they're doing well this year. I think they can carry that to maybe another World Series. Yankees look pretty good. Obviously, the Red Sox are almost untouchable. Somehow the Phillies won a series against them this year, right before they went into a huge slide. But the Red Sox look unbelievably solid, top to bottom. With the Cubs, they just got Cole Hamels, and he's looking like
Cole Hamels,
2008, World Series MVP Cole Hamels. So I think it would be amazing if it was a Cubs-Astros World Series. You got the Cubs who won 2 years ago. It would have that feel of a great boxing match where Mayweather won a few big ones, Pacquiao won a few big ones, and now they're coming to play each other.
Right.
That would be awesome. But, probably a bad analogy because that fight sucked. Anyway, I guess that's what I'm always rooting for the Phillies, but to be honest, right now they're in a slide. Probably Cubs, Astros would be the best.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL preseason. We're going to do some national shit, but I want to know what you think about Carson Wentz. We'll talk about the Phillies a little bit. We'll see what you think about their season this year. And last but not least, we're going to do a little segment called the GOAT of the Week. We'll explain that more coming up on Might Be Sports. Hey, it's Taylor Cooper.
Co-host Kev.
And I'm co-host Dan. I have to bring something up that's been bugging the shit out of me about your wedding.
What?
You've known me a long time.
Yeah.
All right?
You've known both of us a long time.
You've known
We're on
Kev
the
a long time.
fucking radio show together.
Yeah.
We are your brothers.
Correct.
Why the fuck was I in the corner?
Yo, both of us.
We were the furthest away from the bar. We were the furthest away from the food. It was like, I'm just going to put you guys in the corner because I don't want to see you.
Check out Might Be News on mbnnetwork.com. Also, SoundCloud and iTunes. New episodes every Monday. Welcome back. Might Be Sports. Taylor Cooper. Kevin Reevy, what up?
What's going on?
So, season premiere, series premiere, mbnnetwork.com. Check us out on SoundCloud and iTunes. Big deal. There's a lot of things going on here at MBN Network. Right now, it's Might Be Sports. We got some NFL preseason stuff to talk about. Kevin, how much does preseason football mean to you?
At first, it's pretty nice. I mean, I like that first game. You're coming off an off season of no football. A little shorter of a break for me than I'm used to with my team, our team winning the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That was nice. But it's still such a long break. I count on football so much. It's nice. Like you were saying, it's nice to have that thing on Sundays. And I love the Thursday night games. I love all of it. I do think there could be too much, but I think that's kind of where we're at with the preseason. There's 4 games. There should be 2. There could be an argument where there should be none. I mean, college football gets along just fine without any.
Right.
So I know that will probably never happen, but they're going to adjust it at some point. It might be what we were talking about before with them doing the least in college football as far as the playoff goes. They might do the least as far as the preseason goes and cut it to 3 games.
Yeah.
But the 4th game is garbage.
Garbage.
There's not a whole lot to look for. I mean, I know guys that are way into it. Like we were talking with, baseball geeks and all that. A good friend of mine, we'll have him on the show, Andrew DeCecco. He writes for like USA Today, Eagles stuff. He is amazing at figuring out who's going to be, those fringe roster guys, who's going to come out of nowhere. I mean, you had, Russell Wilson yesterday, I think it was yesterday, saying, the newcomer, the guy they got from the Eagles in a trade, Marcus Johnson, He was on like their practice squad last year. I think he was actually with the team for a portion of the season, but I think he was mostly in his career. He was a practice squad guy with the Eagles. Andrew was all over Marcus Johnson for the past 2 or 3 years. He sees like these guys and knows what to look for and sees the game in a way I just don't really care to.
Yeah.
So he loves those, every one of those preseason games. I think the large majority of us couldn't give a shit. So at this point, I'm tired of it. I want real football.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would be fine with cutting it down to 2. I think 2 would be great.
How do you feel about what do you take away from it? What is your level of, I see the Eagles, for example, they haven't won a single preseason game yet. What does that mean to you?
To me, it means nothing.
Right.
I think the Browns have a pretty, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they were undefeated in the preseason.
Yeah,
one
I think
of the
last
last 2
year.
years.
Yeah. Last year or the year before, yeah.
And they won, one game of the last 32.
Yeah. So it means nothing.
It means nothing. And it's kind of weird. So the first game, our third string quarterback, I say our, but, the Eagles' third string quarterback, Nate Sudfeld, had a bad game. And all anyone wanted to talk about was Nick Foles didn't play that game. He was hurt. So Sudfeld had a bad game.
Yeah.
And all the talk is, well, shit, Nick Foles better get healthy. And thank God we didn't trade Nick Foles because Sudfeld does not look like he's ready to be a backup.
Right.
The main backup. Then Nick Foles plays 2 meaningless games, plays poorly. Sudfeld plays a little better, and it totally flips. How can you change your opinion after 2 preseason games like that?
Right.
People are all back in on Nate Sudfeld right now, and throwing Nick Foles in the trash.
Under the bus.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's crazy.
So we get a little too crazy with that kind of stuff. I think Nick Foles has a track record of, coming to play when he has to.
Right.
The Super Bowl MVP, if anyone has forgotten.
Yeah, seriously.
But he's not perfect. He's not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah,
and he needs protection.
He's a great backup.
These preseason games where a lot of the protection that he's going to have week 1 isn't even
They're not even on the field.
dressing.
Right.
I don't think, has Jason Peters played? I'm not even sure if he's hurt or if they're just keeping him out because it's like,
Yeah.
37 years old, whatever he is.
Right.
He needs that. Nick Foles needs a lot of protection. That's what he got last year in the playoffs. He got a lot of protection. When he's comfortable, he can make any throw.
Right.
As well as anyone, as well as Tom Brady, as he proved in the Super Bowl. So I'm not worried as long as the protection's there. That's the only concern I have. But how do I know? I mean, that unit hasn't really played meaningful time yet together. So I'll see week 1. Week 1, real football. If Foles plays, if Wentz is not ready, that's when we'll know. But right now, it's just, we're watching fake football.
Right.
Which is
That's all it is.
better than no football.
Yeah. I always say, because it's funny, in preseason, they help each other up. Like, both teams help each other up off the ground. And I'm like, that's the kind of football we're watching right now. The one where they, help each other. That's not real football. You know what I mean? They don't ever pick each other up off the ground during the regular season. Not that I see on. But it's just, it's practice. That's all it is. So I don't really take much from it. But
you know what? My least favorite, one of those throwaway things, one of the most irritating trash statements that people make all the time. Be like, so what do you hope to get out of, seeing the Eagles in the preseason? And a commentator or anybody will say, well, number 1, I want my guys to come out healthy.
yeah.
I'm so sick of fucking hearing that.
Yeah.
Number 1, you're watching a sport and number 1, you hope no one gets hurt. Fuck you.
Yeah.
No. Number 1, I hope it's fun. I hope it's a good game. I hope they score a bunch of points and the other team doesn't.
Right.
That's my number 1.
Right.
Maybe number 2, I hope nobody gets hurt. But
I
number 1, I hope nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Fuck. Why are you watching?
Well, a lot of players don't want preseason games, or certainly want less because of that.
I
because
see it from
it's like,
their perspective.
why would I play this if it doesn't mean anything?
They're
that's
number
true
1.
competitive shit.
If you're a starter and you're going to be a starter, your number 1 has to be don't get hurt.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you're not thinking on every play, don't get hurt, but that has to be your number 1.
Right.
If you're again, like one of those fringe roster guys. You might make it, you might not. That needs to be your like number 12.
Yeah. Oh,
You have
yeah.
to not
Get
give a
that
shit
ball.
about getting hurt.
Yeah. Yep.
Just throw it all out there.
Definitely. So for anybody who does care, that's let's see. I got the preseason standings right here. I'll just go through. Baltimore is the only team that has played all 4 of their games and they haven't lost any. If that means anything. I'm interested to see what their new quarterback does, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. Well, I mean, it's interesting because he was throwing the ball poorly, and then he had a fairly decent game.
Yeah.
The last one, and it's a little annoying. I mean, again, for what these games are worth, but he I think played 3 of the games, maybe all 4. I don't know. I wasn't following it too closely. All I know is that his stats weren't great except for this last game.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of going out there. I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but he said, now I showed everybody what I can do.
Right.
And his Coach Harbaugh, is saying the same thing. This is what he's capable of. This is what he can do. Well, can he only do it once out of every 3 games?
Right.
That's not that
against
great.
some bench players, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm
to me,
interested
like,
to see it.
As the saying goes, like, he is who we thought he is.
Right.
He's a guy that's, primary thing is running the football, and that's just not sustainable as a quarterback.
Yeah.
He has to be able to throw the ball.
Yep.
If he runs the ball, he will get hurt like everyone else that runs the ball gets hurt.
Right.
It's just the way it is. Andrew Luck, right before he got killed, basically. I mean, he's just now coming back after I don't know how long. Like, when's the last time we saw the old Andrew Luck?
Oh, it's crazy. It's like 2 years, I feel like.
And he got so much praise for his running ability because you didn't really see that coming. The same thing with Carson Wentz last year. You didn't think he was going to be that kind of guy, like really elusive in the pocket and run away and actually be able to use his legs as a weapon. What happened to both of those guys? They got hurt.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. You're playing a bad percentage game when you do that.
Right.
Who are the guys that don't get hurt? Eli Manning, cement shoes.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, cement shoes. Peyton
Yep.
Manning. These guys don't get hurt unless it's a freak thing.
Right.
I mean, Eli Manning, as much as I'm not a fan, how great would it be to have and know you're going to have a quarterback that will never get hurt?
Never get hurt.
That's
Yep.
insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he throws a lot of picks because he stands in the pocket and he throws it when he gets hit. But at the same rate, he's always there. He's always there.
And that's so valuable. That might be enough. I don't want him to be a Hall of Famer. I think it's kind of weird. One of the Super Bowls, that David Tyree catch, the first one that they won, it was 3rd down, and he was throwing the ball away like this is it. Like, that was a dumb throw. First of all,
Yeah.
it was obviously a dumb throw. He's almost sacked and just throws it up in the air. Nobody talks about how dumb it was that it was 3rd down. He had another down to work with. He could have just thrown it away.
Yeah.
So it was really, really dumb play. And
But it worked, and it was
won in the
amazing.
Super Bowl. And
Yeah.
good for him. So it's, pump the brakes on, saying he's this clutch guy, 2-time Super Bowl winner, guaranteed Hall of Fame. Nah, but just the fact that he never gets hurt, he's always there, that counts for something.
It does. Yeah.
Especially nowadays, just does not happen. And you look at you were saying, greatest of all time, whether you think it's Brady, Manning, somebody else, both those guys had serious injuries. Eli, never.
Yeah. Never. Well, real quick, before we move on to baseball, talking about the Phillies real quick, do you think Wentz is going to be ready for week 1?
I didn't think so for the longest time, but I think it's almost a lock now.
Yeah.
I think they give a little bit of like a few hints every now and then that he's going to be ready. I think in Doug Peterson, the head coach, his last session with the media, he kind of made it out to, my plan is Wentz is starting week 1,
Right.
but it's not in my hands. It's in the medical staff's hands.
Right.
So he kind of hinted at my plan. He's going to be there week 1. We're just waiting for the official go ahead.
Yeah.
And there's still, right now there's not that much time, but He's
Looks
just waiting.
good in all the videos, all the warm-ups and all the practice videos I've seen. He's back on full practice, I think. All that. I don't want him to go out there early. I don't want him to go out there premature. If the doctors think that he'd be better off waiting until week 2, fine. But I don't know. Whatever we can do, in my opinion, to lessen the Super Bowl hangover, if there is any. Because, no other team's gone out there and just repeated. So there is such a thing as a Super Bowl hangover. I'm curious how much of one that we're going to have this year, but I guess we'll see. But for now, we'll move on to some Phillies talk. Have you been surprised with the Phillies this season?
I can't say I was entirely surprised, not to, and this might not even be patting myself on the back for this one because they could still continue this total collapse they're currently on and just blow the whole season.
Oh, it's bad right now.
But prior to the season, I picked them to win the division. I threw a tweet out there, said something along the lines of the Phillies will win the East, and the moves they have yet to make are going to be a big part of it. And then the next week, they signed Jake Arrieta, and they signed a bunch of guys offensively now. You would have liked to see them get Machado, but I do think in the end, we got a new catcher, a new shortstop, potentially a new first baseman if they ever fucking play Justin Bour over Carlos 210 Santana. So it's kind of interesting that if they do win the East, I'm going to retweet the shit out of my own tweet on that one and be like, see, they won the East and the moves they had yet to make. Yeah. This is why I'm a genius and you're all dumb.
They're totally surprising me right now because I don't follow baseball stats all like that. I just know what I see. And they were garbage last year. They were garbage. And they were garbage, even worse garbage the year before that, if I remember right. They've been garbage for a little while in the rebuild, Trust the process, all that shit with the Sixers. But this year, it's been fun to watch again. Obviously, there's been games where it's just been boring as shit, but the bullpen needs some work. But overall, it's a likable group of dudes. Hoskins is great. Herrera's been doing great. I enjoy watching the Phillies this year. I did, and that alone was surprising to me, I guess.
Herrera is the whole team in one guy. He can be incredibly frustrating and show flashes of
greatness,
unbelievable ability.
Yeah,
but I seriously think he's got an ego problem that actually affects the way he plays. I was at a game once where he either stole second base, he had a double, I'm not sure, whichever it was, but the helmet popped off.
Yeah.
He's standing on the second base, and he's holding the helmet in his hand. The first inning. And the pitcher's into his windup. Still got the helmet in his hand. And I couldn't shake the thought that he just wants his hair to be on display for the crowd. Odubel Herrera's great hair. He just wants to show off his locks.
Right.
I really believe that. With every fiber of my being, I think he just had a moment standing on second base, which is where you'd want to be if you want to show off in the middle of the damn field.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't think he lets his ego become way too big a part of the game. Just go up there and hit. Just hit.
Yeah.
I want your personality to come through, but when it seriously affects how you play, he's just got to tone it down. Yeah, I think he gets too emotional.
He's young too. He's young, isn't he? I don't know how.
Relatively so. I think he's around 26.
Yeah.
Came on a little bit late, but
I think he'll get better with that.
He's got to mature.
Along. Yeah,
I guess is what you're looking for. He has to mature, and it's just.
I just hope he does it with the Phillies, and I hope he matures in a good way, baseball production wise.
Yeah, but how many guys can you say that are like him character wise that have been a success in baseball? Not a lot.
Yeah.
It's just one of those incredibly high concentration sports where you have to throw everything else out. His wild swings, if you could potentially compare it to Vlad Guerrero, The only reason why Vlad's swinging and everything and swinging out of his shoes is because he could connect with any ball anywhere.
Right.
And Odubel's just not that. So I think he's just got to tone it down, focus, just see the ball, hit the ball. Everything else doesn't matter.
With that being said, do you have a surprise player? It's like a player on the Phillies that either surprised you in a positive way or a negative way this season? Because I'll tell you mine right now. Aaron Nola. He's just been on point all season. And I knew he was getting good, but just this season he's been lights out. What about you?
I would say Aaron Nola, of course. He's transformed himself into
An ace.
absolutely one of the best pitchers in baseball. And right up there, he could win not only a Cy Young, he could win an MVP this year.
Yeah.
Could be a weird thing where he doesn't win the Cy Young. Maybe DeGrom gets that, and Noah still wins MVP. There's no crazy, offensive talents that are jumping out. But yeah, Nola. Besides him, I'm almost a little surprised that Hoskins is doing so well. I mean, you might look at his stats and think, based on what he did last year, breaking all kinds of records with that incredible home run barrage he had towards the end of the year, that he was this, godsend amazing player. But if you looked at his, minor league history, he wasn't ever a really huge top prospect. So I wondered if he was going to be able to sustain that. So I'm very encouraged and surprised that he really has. And he's turned it on late. He's doing well. Maikel Franco, I wondered about him. He's a guy where I wondered if he was in shape, if that was affecting his play.
Yeah.
I worry about guys. A few years ago, he actually sold his future earnings. I think it's something around like 10% for a few $1 million for money up front to one of those companies that buys and sells. It's weird. He did that, and I kind of wondered, like, you're not really betting on yourself. You're taking a cash out now. That's kind of weird, but he's been playing pretty well. But yeah, it's been all Nola. That's our team this year.
Yeah.
It's like Carlton in '72.
Yeah.
Where he won 27 games. I think the Phillies won like 59. So our team has been Aaron Nola. Without him, it's just the Phillies are nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
They'd be exactly what everybody thought they were going to be.
Which was nothing.
Which was nothing. Which was around an 80-win team. I think Vegas had them right around there, like 78 wins before the season. So, and who knows? Maybe that's where they end up if they continue this slide.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's been kind of fun. It's just been a little annoying when your team's a playoff team, but they can be so frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
They're just not scoring runs. I think
Yeah.
this month they've been averaging around like 3.9 runs per game, which is just sliding and sliding, it seems, with every day. They've been hitting lately, so we'll see if like the additions they made with Wilson Ramos behind the plate, maybe they can turn it around. I don't know, but I'm almost ready to shift my focus to the Astros. I got a trip. I'm seeing them late September, so I'm kind of looking forward to that more than any Phillies games, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I turn on my team so hard. It's not right.
Oh, well, as soon as it's over, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's nice to have a backup squad, if you will. Like I typically have, like in football, I have a AFC team that I follow and an NFC team that I follow. Eagles, Colts. But and I guess I don't really have the whole West in the NBA is worthy of following after the Sixers disintegrate or whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. Baseball, I don't really have a second team. I enjoy postseason baseball realistically, no matter who's playing in it, because it's exciting as shit. Not so much the first game or two of the series, but like once it gets into it, it's mad fun to watch. Same thing with hockey. I don't follow the regular season hockey nearly as much as I enjoy watching every single game that I can of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. That shit is mad fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys fucking go hard, and it's crazy. And I can't wait. We're almost out of time. I want to do this little segment we got, Goat of the Week. Goat of the Week, I'm going to explain it to you. Kevin Reevy and I have talked off air about how things have lost their meaning in modern days, right? Everybody says this is the greatest thing of all time. You're talking about a fucking soda or something, or a fucking, an app on your goddamn phone or something. It's stupid. So, GOAT of the week, greatest of all time this week. I'm going with Aaron Nola. We talked about it a little bit. He beat Scherzer the other night, which was great. Even when the Phillies are bad, he's good. It's just great. What do you think? Do you have a GOAT of the week?
My greatest of all time of the week has to be. Well, I mean, we were talking about it off the air, maybe on the air. I don't know. It kind of bleeds into each other. Ben Simmons, the videos.
Oh yes.
He's got his moves.
Yes, this was
Looks
off air,
good.
so good call.
This is like our NBA preseason thing where it's games that don't matter.
Instagram videos,
But you see the clips. It's like they're not going to show the clips where he tripped over himself and fell flat on his face.
Right.
But
It's a well edited video.
moves look good for how bad he looked. He was in his own head in the playoffs last year where he just couldn't make a basket. Couldn't make any basket. Didn't matter if it was a layup. It was like one of those things where like a baseball player loses the ability to throw to first base, like Chuck Knobloch did with the Yankees. He just lost the ability to throw to first base. We would get the ball. He'd be so incredibly in his own head. He couldn't throw the ball there.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Ben Simmons was. Obviously not that severe, but I think that's where he was. When he had the ball in his hands to shoot, his mindset was, oh, fuck, I'm not real good at this. I hope this works out.
Yeah.
Instead of just letting it flow.
The video I saw the other day on Instagram was his turnaround jumper, and it looked good. It looked good. I mean, obviously, like you said, they don't show all the ones that he missed, but between the videos I've seen of him and Markelle Fultz this offseason, I'm very excited. And Joel Embiid just going out there and dunking on people in public has been great and very entertaining as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward
That's
to it.
all Ben
a good
Simmons
pick.
is missing is just a decent
He just needs a shot.
It doesn't have to be a three-point shot.
A shot, no.
Just to be able to make
shoot
that-
the ball and make
So
it.
it's a little concerning that the Sixers have two of those
Oh.
Chuck Knobloch guys and Fultz and Simmons potentially. But if they get that worked out, they don't need anybody else. They literally do not need
No.
LeBron
No.
because they already have the GOAT.
They have, yeah. The GOAT of the week, anyway.
They have the new GOAT.
Yeah, the new GOAT. Well, I've just for the sake of me taking notes, Aaron Nola in 2018, right now, when we're recording, has a 2.13 ERA. He's 15-3. He's got 169 strikeouts. Incredible. From seeing him when he was young, like even younger, obviously than a couple years ago, from what he is then to now, impressive.
And he could be one of those Eli Manning guys where if you look at him throw and don't know anything about him, you would think, that's got to be rough on his elbow. He might have problems later on. For what it's worth, I don't know if this means anything, but he's like one of those double-jointed guys. He's like, and he looks it. He does look like kind of Gumby out there, really like wiry. I don't think he's going to have arm issues. And in an era where pretty much everyone does at some point, that's real nice. If he continues to do this and can stay on the field, that's incredible.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. We still got a lot of baseball to talk about in this upcoming season of Might Be Sports on the NBA Network. We're basically out of time. Kev, this is a great episode.
This was fun.
Kevin
You know
Reedy.
what? Talk about the GOAT. This was our GOAT episode. This was the best one we ever did. Am I wrong?
You're absolutely right.
Hey, everybody should go onto iTunes, rate and review. Let us know if you think this was the best episode we did so far.
Absolutely.
I think also, unfortunately, it might have been the worst we ever did, too.
For right now, yes.
But we'll work on that.
It's both, yes. And we'll be back next week to get better or worse. We'll see how it goes. But no, this was a great episode. Where can people find you on Twitter, Kev?
Find me at 76pack. That's at 76PACK. And I don't really do the Instagrams. So just pretty much Twitter.
I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second because it's going to be confusing for me and for listeners of the NBN network. Can I call you Reevy? Because I have co-host Kev already
Yes.
on NBN. All right.
Reeves.
Reevy, Kevin Reeves. Thank you so much. This has been a great show. Check us out on mbnnetwork.com, soundcloud.com, iTunes. We'll be back next week with more NFL talk as we get closer to the NFL season. Probably some Major League Baseball postseason predictions. And, we'll see. Maybe we don't even talk about sports. Peace out.